This seems strange now looking back on it, but at the time when we were all playing advanced Dungeons & Dragons back in the 1980s, a cleric who wanted to cast a spell needed a holy symbol. It was a requirement of being able to cast their spells. Meanwhile, at the same time, if you were playing a thief, you had a list of special abilities you could do, and they just had a percentage chance of success next to them. So if you want to move silently, you rolled percentile dice, and if you rolled well enough, you succeeded. You were moving silently. One of the abilities was pickpocket. It didn't matter what you were trying to pick or whose pocket you were trying to pick. It was literally just how good a thief are you? Make a roll. And if you roll really well, you are able to stealthily, without your target knowing about it, steal something of theirs. You put those two things together and you have a pretty predictable recipe for inter-player conflict. Many was the time when the thief I wasn't playing the thief or the cleric in these scenarios, but many was the time I watched the thief player tell the dungeon master that they were going to use their pickpocket and try to steal the sleeping cleric's holy symbol and then sort of like ransom it back to them. And because the cleric's player is at the table, but their character is asleep, and by the unspoken agreements we were all playing by, the cleric player was basically a hostage. They couldn't do anything about this. They had to act as though they didn't know what was going on. Now, this is a miserable, toxic way to play. And I used to assume it was because we were teenagers, but I've introduced the game now to people of all ages into their 50s. And I think generally speaking, it's just that you're new. New players of any age or background tend to slot into certain archetypes. We put up with this. We didn't know any better for one thing, but we put up with this because, and this may seem strange, it was fun. But it was fun the same way the save or die mechanic was fun. It was fun only in aggregate. It was fun taken only when summed over all the players in the group, because one player was being mischievous and enjoying it. The other player was a victim of that kind of torture and was miserable, but the other players watching were delighted. We took joy in our friend's misery. And just like save or die, the player having to make the roll is not having fun, but everyone else watching is delighted. And so there's this feeling that everyone's going to get their turn in the barrel and just be a good sport about it. And then when it's over, move on. But we're better designers now and we're better players. And I think we have the opportunity to be better people. Jury's still out on that part. When confronted about this, the classic defense, which I still see people using online, it probably will never die as long as people are playing role-playing games, is, well, I'm just playing my character. This is perceived as being an unassailable defense. I'm role-playing. It's a role-playing game. I'm doing the virtuous thing. I'm playing my character. I'm role-playing. This is what my character would do. And indeed, I believe the designers are a little bit on the hook for that kind of behavior because they made the thief class and their abilities and made them work the way they do. So these players, it seemed reasonable at the time. It was hard to be mature enough to address the real issue. The players would just say, look, I'm just doing what my character sheet says. I'm just playing my character. I think there is definitely a discussion to be had, maybe for another video, about what is the role-playing part of a role-playing game? When are we role-playing and when are we not role-playing? I have ideas about that, but definitely these players, and I don't know if I've ever been one of those players, but given how long I've been playing, there have probably been other players in games I've been in that I made miserable because I was insistent and being uncompromising in playing a toxic character or playing my character in a toxic way. And when confronted, I would just say, I'm playing my character. I call this, because of course I would, I call this the Wangrod defense. It is the last defense of the toxic player. It's the way they feel like they can justify their awful, disruptive, anti-player behavior and get away with it. One of the reasons that we play role-playing games instead of competitive tabletop games is that there are no winners and losers in RPGs. It is, whatever else is true, it is a collaborative effort. We do not win or lose. And when you exhibit this toxic behavior, you're making the game a zero-sum game. Your enjoyment is coming at the expense of someone else's misery. We shouldn't write these players off. Everyone I've ever known who exhibited this toxic behavior, because they were friends of ours outside of the game, we forgave them, we put up with it, we endured it, we probably didn't address it in a mature way, but in every instance, eventually the players matured and they left that old style of play behind and they got with the program. So we shouldn't be throwing the baby out with the bathwater. At the same time, when it's happening, it can feel incredibly frustrating because it is sometimes difficult when you're confronted with it in the moment to figure out how to explain to that player that it's what my character would do is not a good answer to the issue. You can just talk to the player and tell them, I understand that you are playing your character, but that is causing a lot of misery and pain among the other players. I guarantee you there is a character you could play in this game that you would really enjoy and that would not cause the rest of us to be unhappy. Like a lot of problems at the table, the Wangrod defense is something that can be overcome with communication and setting expectations. It's up to you. Only you know your group. It's up to you whether or not it's a conversation best to be had offline, just you and that player, or at the table with the entire group. I think it depends on how well you know that player and how well you trust each other. But however you do it, at the end of the day, if a toxic player tries to defend themselves by saying, I'm just playing my character, a simple response is, we're all just playing our characters, but you're the only one making other people unhappy. So let's talk about other characters you could play that would have different motivations and not cause the rest of us or others of us to be miserable. Here's another secret. You may be the player being made miserable. You may look around the table and you may think, well, this toxic player isn't behaving this way to anybody else. Maybe I'm the problem. Maybe this is something I have to deal with. You think you're the only victim. I guarantee you, if you talk, maybe offline, to the other players, you will discover you are not the only one made uncomfortable by the toxic player's behavior. You are almost never alone in situations like that. That's one of the reasons it can be good to just talk to the other players and say, is anybody else bothered by this? If you are a player who thinks that kind of inter-party conflict is super cool, there's nothing wrong with that. It is super cool, but the other players are the authors of their characters, just like you're the author of your character. So it's important that you first, before you spring this conflict on your friends, you talk to them, you communicate with them offline. I do this all the time, as those of you who watch my stream do, and set up that conflict and say, hey, how would you feel if your character and my character got into a little bit of a fracas? In my own limited experience, every time I've gone to another player and included them, either when I'm a dungeon master or when I'm a player, when I've gone to another player and included them as part of the conspiracy, they always say yes. There's a huge difference in feeling like I'm a collaborator with your idea and feeling I'm a victim to it. We play these games to hang out with our friends, roll dice, have dope stuff happen, and sometimes that dope stuff can be inter-character conflict. It can be very dramatic. But I think unless you know your friends really well, then it should always be opt-in. If you have an idea for a way you and another character could get into conflict, go and talk to that character's player and say, hey, what if I think you'll be surprised at how often the answer is, that sounds cool, and they want to enhance your idea and make it even better. That's it, folks. That's the Wangrod defense video. It's one of the oldest problems in role-playing. You can go back to Dragon magazines from the 1970s, and people in the letters columns are talking about this stuff. We have a partner manager now at YouTube, by the way, who's a very together dude who did a great whole PowerPoint presentation for us about our channel, where he dug through all the videos and all the engagement we've had. And one of the things I'm not going to become somebody who says, if you like this video, blah, 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 you're adults, you know what to do if you like stuff. I will, however, describe, and I may get in the habit of doing this often, of describing what I consider sort of an undocumented feature, which is down below, there's a little bell icon. Doesn't tell you what that does, but if you click on it, you will get a notification on your phone or in your operating system letting you know when there's a new Matt Colville video. And YouTube does sometimes, for reasons passing understanding, unsubscribe and unnotify people, and you have to go back and manually turn it back on. It's quite annoying. If you liked this video and you want to support the channel, as you know, we don't run ads here. You can go pick up a copy of Strongholds and Followers and enrich your game with awesome, cool monsters. There's like 80 pages of monsters in here that I'm really proud of, and all sorts of cool systems for designing or modifying, spell hacking existing spells if you build a wizard's tower, and a warfare system and all sorts of cool stuff. We play D&D D&D on Wednesday nights. There's a link to our Twitch channel in doobly-doo. We put the videos up on our second channel, the MCDM channel. If you're wondering where those videos went, we're back to doing campaign diaries. We're going to do another Kickstarter for Kingdoms and Warfare and rules for things like if you all want to be members of a Thieves Guild or if you want to be one player running a Thieves Guild. I'm really excited by it. If you want an alert when that Kickstarter goes live, there's a link in the doobly-doo. Give us your email and we will send you one email and one email only. You won't be added to any lists, letting you know the Kickstarter went live. I'm thinking about doing a live stream on YouTube. I haven't done any YouTube live streaming. Probably next Friday, we'll do like a live Q&A about how the campaign, how the session went on Wednesday night. So if you get an alert on your phone saying, hey, Matt Colville is live, we might try to make it a premiere. So you'll get like a notification, like he'll be live in 15 minutes. And then we'll hang out together and talk about how D&D is going. I just want to see what the YouTube live experience is like. We're also planning on doing a rebroadcast of our live stream for European and or Australian viewers. I'm not entirely sure when that is going to happen, which episode will be the first one we try it out on, and what the time shift is going to be. But if you subscribe to us on Twitch, you will get a notification when we go live. And maybe in the near future, it will be while you're awake instead of while you're asleep. That's it, folks. Thanks for being patient with all the announcements. Next episode, we're going to shift to the B plot, a close cousin to Orc's attack. Until then, peace out.